Chapter 669 Planning Ahead Part 1. You were wrong, Ranger Verhan. The darkness array wasn't for the techs, but for us intruders. Nishal said, if you had stepped through the gate, the darkness spell would have tried to kill you right after sealing the dimensional door. Using the Odie's runes is too dangerous. It's better to go through the front door and clear our path one bit at a time instead of jumping feet first into a trap. How long before we can resume exploring Kula? Lith asked. At least a couple of days. I recommend 4 days so that we can use fire magic without risking to suffocate. Judging from the golem's behavior, the ODI worked hard to prevent intruders from using powerful fire spells, so by messing with that we might have an easier time countering their defenses. Agreed, we only have to wait now, Floria said. Since he had nothing to do, Lith went inside the men's quarters. He used earth magic and the hush spell to get some privacy. Then, he took out his army amulet and called his handler while using accumulation. Feeding the amulet enough energy to counter the interference was child's play for him. Unlike fake mages, Lith could freely manipulate his mana core. Meanwhile, on Mogar's surface, the sudden pull at her consciousness made Camilla flinch. She anxiously took her communicator out of her purse to check if it was the human resources. They were in charge of informing constables if something happened to their relatives. Lith had disappeared off the face of Mogar for almost 2 weeks, and to make matters worse, Falmug was missing as well. After Zinnia had petitioned for divorce, he had tried multiple times to contact Camilla to discover his wife's whereabouts, failing every single time. She had never shared her contact rune with him and had blocked her mother's the moment Zinnia had received her own communication amulet. Her family was now officially dead to her. Yet she couldn't help but worry that something had happened to Lith or that Falmug had found Zinnia, so Camilla was on edge at the idea of receiving bad news. How many times do I have to tell you to stay away from that thing during our lessons? Journey said, stabbing their prisoner in his tight with one of her needles. Whatever it is, it can wait. Lith's rune is active, he's calling me. Camilla ignored the man's screams and showed Journey the blinking rune, almost jumping for the joy. What are you waiting for? Answer immediately, I haven't heard from neither him nor my daughters for days. Journey planted a mouth gag on the prisoner with a well-placed fist, which also dislocated his jaw so that it would not need straps to secure it. But first, Royal Override. Identification. Archon Journey Urnas. Password of the day. Silpha, Silverwing, Night, Blue. All the magic crystals on Camilla's amulet lit up at once. I've activated the secure line. No one can listen to your conversation, not even the army. Thanks, there are so many things I can't say as a handler. Camilla couldn't believe her luck. If you really want to thank me, once you two are done, put him on. I need to speak to him as well. While we are at it, use meeting room number 3. It's the only one without recording devices. Journey said. Will do. I'll try to be quick. There's no rush, dear. We're done for today. Journey's words surprised the prisoner quite a bit. He had been captured during the slave auction and identified as one of its ringleaders. He had been interrogated for days before Constable Urnas resorted to using more violent approaches. He had yet to say anything. He was aware that the moment he had nothing to offer they would execute him. The longer I hold on, the more time my accomplices have to get me out of here. He thought, they have to, otherwise a lot of noble heads will roll. I have no intention of dying alone. This stupid woman has even given me the means to contact my associates. With her password, I can easily bribe a guard and safely use their communication amulet. Journey seemed to read his mind, because the more confident he became, the wider her grin grew. You know, it's hard to find scum like you, Journey said. That's the reason you're still alive. My apprentice is still naive, so when I saw you, I knew you would be a tough nut to crack. I used you to allow her to practice all the normal interrogation techniques and develop her own. Then, when as predicted you didn't talk, my aim was to use you to not make her feel guilty for what she was going to do. Everyone has to start somewhere. This call changes everything, though. We both deserve some quality time with our families and I hate leaving a job halfway through, so. She struck both of his lungs with thin, hollow needles. At first, the prisoner felt barely a sting. Then, he realized he couldn't breathe anymore. The air entered from his nose and mouth, but it was as if someone was choking him. That's called a pneumothorax. I punctured your lungs so that no matter how much air you draw in, they can't fill up because it leaks and fills your thoracic cavity. You'll die in about 8 minutes, without being able to talk or even cry. If you're lucky, she'll be done soon. I always confirm my kills, so the moment that door opens, I'll give you a quick death. Journey noticed the confusion in the man's eyes, all the unanswered questions that were keeping the pain at bay. Do you really think by remaining silent you had any chance of survival? In my line of work, the first one to talk gets the better deal. Your accomplices were smarter than you and told us everything we needed. Some of them will go free, others will serve a sentence. You instead, were nothing but a teaching prop since the beginning. In the meeting room 3, Camilla was overjoyed seeing that Lith was all right. He couldn't tell her much about his mission, so she was the one speaking for most of the time. These ruins are a pain in the neck. Between the constant danger and communication blackout, I really missed you. There were many things he would have liked to ask her, but the army amulet triggered his paranoia too much. The idea that someone could listen to their conversation kept him on the edge despite Journey's reassurances. Why are you still working on the weekend? I hoped to reach you while you were still at my place, to, casually, talk with my family. The weekend ended yesterday, silly. She giggled. You must have lost track of the days. Damn, I think you were right. How is everyone? Camila told him the last news about his family. Tista had finally started her journey, sending everyone in a panic. It was the first time that she traveled completely alone, and her absence complicated things even more now that Rena was pregnant. Oh gods, not again, Lith blurted out. Your sister is very young and her family is wealthy. Why shouldn't she have more than one child? Camila found Lith's reaction somewhat disturbing. She had never considered having children of her own, but such a fierce denial made her scared of the future. By Novel 2025. 1. Supreme Magus. Chapter 670 Planning Ahead Part 2. Am I worried because I'm older than him, or it's just my insecurity talking? Camila thought, a second before turning beet red for apparently no reason. What's wrong with me? We have never even talked about marriage and I'm already worrying about how many children we should have. Cammy, are you feeling alright? You seem a bit off, Lith said, snapping her out of the chaos her mind had become. I'm perfectly fine, thanks. I'm just worried about Zinnia. Happy to change the topic, Camila told him all about the divorce and Falmug's disappearance. I don't pay the bastard a visit since the mission started. I hope he doesn't get the wrong idea and thinks to be off the hook. Lith thought, I really hope he tries something funny near my home. Between the arrays and the Queen's Core, they'll pick up his remains with a teaspoon. I'm more worried about you. Being a civil servant, most of your information is public. Falmug must know that the easiest way to get to Zinnia is through you. Be on your guard, always, he said. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Camila was both flattered and happy by how concerned he was about her safety. She was more than able to take care of herself, especially now that she was a field assistant, but being pampered a little after such a long separation felt nice. Belius has so many safety measures that even if Falmug comes there, there's not much he can do. Besides, I've been staying at the Erna's household for a while. I doubt even he would be so foolish to attack me there. What? Why? Lith asked. Officially, for my training, so that Arch and Ernas can teach me how to arrange the work from home when necessary and teach me everything I need about constables' codes away from prying eyes. Off the record, the Ernas feel lonely with all their daughters away. I suppose they want some company, or maybe they were hoping for something like this to happen. You calling me so that they had the opportunity to speak with Floria and Kyla. How are they? Given the circumstances, I'd say they're doing fine. Kyla is the one struggling the most. She can't stand remaining on the sidelines, but she knows that she can't help us in a fight. As for Floria, she has to make tough calls almost every day. Luckily for me, I'm just a ranger. The professors know they stuff but are too arrogant, they never mind. I can't talk about that. We would both end in trouble and I don't want to endanger your career. He said with a warm smile. Speaking of rangers, how is he? Camila asked. Who are you talking about? Ranger Erie, the Beast Man. The what? Beast Man. They call him like that because there was a year when he never took a single day leave, and when he finally returned to civilization, he behaved more like a magical beast than a human. He is indeed odd, Lith replied, wondering if Marak was just a man rude enough to act like a beast or simply a beast shape-shifted into a man. When they finished talking, Camila gave the amulet to Journey. By that time, the prisoner was already dead by more than half an hour. Journey had taken care of piercing the corpse's heart and brain before beheading it. There were rumors about necromancy techniques capable of extracting the memories from the recently deceased, and Arch and Ernas liked to err on the side of safety whenever state secrets were involved. There were people who would pay a small fortune to get access even to a daily password. How are my girls? Spare me the niceties, I want the truth, Journey asked as soon as Camila left them alone after she activated a personal device that further ensured their privacy. They both almost died more than once. Kyla is putting up a tough act, but I think she feels guilty for failing to save our fallen comrades. Floria, instead, has a few problems with deciding who lives and who dies. Lith could openly talk with Journey. With her status and rank, he doubted that anything that passed through Barion's office didn't reach her ears in less than a minute. Good, this experience is bound to help them to understand the implications of their life choices. Sometimes I'm afraid that Orion has sheltered them too much. I'm glad that you're with them in their time of need. You protect mine and I'll keep protecting yours, she said. Do you mean that? Lith could only call himself an idiot for having taken Camila's naive thinking seriously. That Camila now lives in my home for her own safety. I took some information on this Falmug. He's not a criminal, but he's acquainted with plenty of them. If he decides to, he can mess with Camila. Zinnia, on the contrary, is beyond his reach. Promise me that you'll bring my baby girls back home and you have my word that I'll keep your courtyard clear. Journey said. I would have done it anyway. I resent you doubting my friendship. Lith's voice turned cold. He didn't like to receive ultimatums. So would have I, but you know as well as I do that common interests form a stronger bond than any pretty word can. Now that we have a deal, please put Floria through. I hope that for once she will listen to me. Journey sighed. Lith was now in quite a pickle. The moment he left the amulet, the conversation would end. On top of that, he would have to explain how he had managed to establish a connection without external help. He and Solus quickly arranged an array with the purple crystals Professor Nishal had gifted him to fuel the amulet. We're lucky we had this many big and powerful crystals at hand, otherwise such a makeshift formation would never work. Solus thought. Floria was amazed by Lith bypassing the interference so easily, but she didn't ask him for explanations. Their cohabitation was starting to become awkward. Lith had opened up to her more in those last few days than in the 2 years they had been together. That coupled with the words they had exchanged during Journey's birthday were giving her a headache. To add insult to injury, her mother's smug grin told Floria that she was well aware of that. I'm glad to see you're all right and in one piece, dear. I hope you can get back home soon. Journey would always caress before landing a blow. Thanks, Mom. I can't wait for this mission to be over. The things I've seen here will give me nightmares for days, I'm sure of it. Floria was used to the killing part of her job, to her life being constantly at risk. Seeing the results of the Odie's work, facing the consequences of their experiments, however, was eating her from the inside. How could she hate the living fungus for killing so many innocent people when the creature itself is a victim? Even the people forming the monster who had attacked them in the lobby weren't at fault. Killing innocents was chipping away the pride she took in her job, making her feel more like a murderer than a soldier. The memory of the techs in the tanks overlapped with that of Marak eating them as if they were just crabs, making her want to puke.